Put your right hand in this shoebox with a hole in it.
Why should I?
Put your right hand in this shoebox with a hole in it.
I hold at your neck a big biro. The test is simple. Remove your hand from the shoebox with a hole in it, and I'll draw something obscene on your neck.
What's in the box?
Pain.
Yep, guess who watched June on the flight over to Summer Game Fest? Of course, I don't need a magic box that tests my ability to overcome fear, as I play video games for a living. Even in my all-time favourite games, there are those notorious bits you sense on approach, snaking through the dirt towards you like a giant subterranean worm. Yep, that's June again. But I always prevail over them every time I replay, driven by the knowledge of even better things to come. So yes, who needs a pain box when you can be tested by difficulty spikes the size of Kilimanjaro, tonal shifts that bring us out of our comfort zones, or just that one pesky enemy type that refuses to take a dirt nap? Here are 7 moments we dread in games we otherwise absolutely love. We lift off with Outer Wilds, a game that at its outset makes space travel look charming. You exist on a diet of toasted marshmallows, your ship was cobbled together in a woodwork class, and you get free tickets to impromptu bluegrass gigs. What's not to love? I'll tell you what's not to love: the anglerfish, a 50-foot hybrid of Jaws and a lamppost. You know those signs you get at the aquarium that are like, "Don't tap on the glass"? Well, this is the fish that taps back. Living in the foggy gloom of Dark Bramble, these horrors come out of nowhere for an instant kill. In a blink of the anglerfish's freaky little eye, you flip from isolated alien to alien isolation. Giant teeth bearing down on you again and again and again. And while you're only one supernova away from time resetting you back to your pre-chewed state, you still need to return to the secrets of Dark Bramble and face those snapping jaws again. The worst thing is, you do eventually discover a solution. The fish responds to sound, but it doesn't magically solve the situation. You learn to launch your ship into Dark Bramble and let momentum carry you without adjusting your path with noisy directional thrusters, which means if an anglerfish enters that path, you can choose between crashing into it and being eaten, or steering away from it and being eaten. In space, no one can hear you scream, yes, 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 apart from the anglerfish. They can hear everything. Next up, we've got The Last of Us Part 2. Now, I was going to go with Abby and Lev's descent through that scary hotel. Okay, to give it its due, it has a pretty decent swimming pool, and the flamethrower was a nice touch, but I did have to ding it on TripAdvisor for the lack of flaws. And the concierge had a terrible temper. The truth is, The Last of Us Part 2 isn't short on dread. You know, the two go together like Joel and a 9-iron. Very tricky to extract one from the other. No sooner have you checked out of the hotel, you wander into something much worse: Ground Zero for Seattle's cordyceps outbreak and the lair of the Rat King. This is the scene that gives me jitters when I reach for the new game option. A hospital basement where the infected were packed together so tightly they fused into a heaving flesh monstrosity. Like when you leave a packet of Maltesers in your pocket and the balls melt together. Only Maltesers don't try to bite you and then turn you into a Malteser. It's such a gear shift, as if a Resident Evil boss snuck through the back door. The ominous lead-up is literally the power generator bit from Resident Evil 4's regenerator sequence. Call that number 8 on the list. And once it kicks off, you kiss all your ammo goodbye as you work out exactly which bit is the Rat King's weak spot. If he's made of 10 different infected, we should have 10 different weak spots, right? Ha! There's no room for fairness in the basement from hell. If there was, old Ratty Boy wouldn't divide into 2 smaller bosses halfway through. Talk about a breakneck encounter. Pick number 3 is Doom Eternal, a glorious ode to bashed skulls and gooey explosions, until the Marauders turn up and the only skull getting bashed is the Doomslayers. These brutes are legendarily awkward, impervious to all damage unless you goad them into a lunging strike and pop them at that one moment of vulnerability. It stumbles him and lets you squeeze in that second hit.
And before you write it in the comments, yes, I know, I've read all the articles about how clever the design is. I know the Marauder is there to teach you to change weapons to get that second shot off.
But I prefer my tutorials to be a little gentler, for my teachers not to come armed with a battle axe, double-barreled shotgun and attack wolf. Like, how the hell would that pass an Ofsted inspection? In my day, tutorials were press square to crouch under log. No one was asking me to blast a 10-foot demon in the microsecond its eyes turned green. Every time I think about loading Doom Eternal up and mulching some demons, I'm reminded of the Marauder and bring up his Doom wiki page to see if anyone has discovered an easy cheese for defeating him. They haven't, but I did learn that the Marauder is one of the few demons in the Doom series to speak English.
So I'm going to put this in terms he understands. You're not big, you're not clever. Please give me a pass next time.
Hitman next, becoming something of a habit in these lists. Am I pushing a balding guy's a cool agenda, or is the world of assassination just the perfect generator of great gaming moments? Well, 99% great. A level I always brace myself for in any Hitman replay is Freedom Fighters in Colorado.
If you're unfamiliar with it, it's a militia HQ, which is understandably a bit less open to the public than a spa or a luxury hotel.
It's a destination with hostility baked in. You spawn into a private property, making every inch of Colorado unfriendly from the outset. Which sucks for me. My preferred playstyle is to enter a level and drink in the ambience, see how the other half lives while tugging at the threads that make the other half die. Colorado, no. Pure business 24/7. No Mai Tais or masked bulls here, just sun-warmed beer and, oh, I guess this guy is wearing a mask, but let me tell you, he ain't going to no party. It's a pure stealth challenge, in other words, which isn't outrageous for a stealth-based assassination sim, but couldn't they have made it a tiny bit more welcoming? Include a pick-your-own strawberry patch by the malfunctioning battering ram, perhaps? Or maybe install a petting farm by the slurry pit. Something to ease us in.
Would it have killed the militia to roll out the red carpet? I guess given the circumstances it would have killed them, yes.
Entry 5 is one I learned to dread just by overhearing Rosie playing it, the third case of Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. For those unfamiliar with the series, it appears to be, from my chair on the other side of the office, a game about pretty boys with too much hair gel pointing at liars and those liars occasionally exploding into a big snotty mess.
I'm sure there is more to it than that.
No, not really.
Oh. Anyway, the case is Turnabout Serenade, which involves a murder during a concert that appears to mimic the lyrics of the song being performed at the time, called The Guitar's Serenade.
A bit like how I follow the lyrics of my favourite song when I'm playing Hitman. Oh, I'm going to poison your food, and then you're going to go off to the toilet because you're feeling ill, and you're going to be sick, and then I'm going to drown you in your own vomit.
And because the performance is entered into evidence, it means listening to this painfully slow ballad over and over. If you're not debating the meaning of the lyrics, you're analysing the concert itself for proof of a crime. And hour by hour, you feel your sanity draining away, and you start willing the judge to find your client guilty, just so you can get that earworm permanently sent to the evidence locker. Justice is blind, but its ears are in working order, and they cannot take much more of this serenade.
I know this is a cherished adventure game, but no one can listen to that song 1,000 times.
Objection! It's only 14 times.
I rest my case.
Number 6 is Yakuza Like a Dragon, another game I've absorbed via osmosis from Rosie, who has talked about nothing else for the last 3.5 years. 3.5 years of Ichiban this, Nanba that. It wears you down until you eventually break and find yourself saying things like,
I've always favoured Adachi's Enforcer class. I don't even know what an Adachi is.
One name I do know is Goro Majima, the cycloptic maniac responsible for our next dreaded moment, an all-timer difficulty spike that's all the more shocking for the conflicting emotions it stirs up.
Before I get into it, I have been asked by Rosie to give a disclaimer saying that she did not struggle with this fight, in case any of her cool Yakuza-liking friends are watching.
So anyway, Majima. For most of Like a Dragon, we deal with a new generation of faces, having left Kiryu and co behind in Yakuza 6. So imagine the ecstasy when, after fighting through legions of the Omi Alliance, you're suddenly faced with Goro Majima and Tiger Saijima.
It's like a mic drop character surprise in a Marvel movie. You know, like that bit where every hero from every film comes out at the end of Endgame.
So you're buzzing with excitement only to realise that Majima is pumped to be back in the fray and wants to thrash your party to celebrate. And if you're at the expected level when you encounter him, he absolutely will. Majima and Saijima are the Ornstein and Smuff of Japanese thugs. Two brutes dividing your attention. The malicious beanpole who can clone himself for 3 times the trouble, and his pal who hits like a truck. Having to flee the fight to grind up levels in the Sotenbori battle arena runs counter to the energy of the reveal, but it's a move that most people, yes, not Rosie, had to make.
So actually, it's like that bit in Endgame where all the heroes from all the films come out all the holes and then they come out of your TV screen and punch your popcorn all over the floor.
Our final entry draws from what I refer to as the Yard as Nails trilogy. 3 dreaded difficulty spikes that all unfold in a variety of, yes, yards. There's the dockyards of Jak 2, which I've had hypnotherapy to suppress, so can't actually describe to you. Looks tricky though. Then there's the junkyard in Grand Theft Auto Vice City, where Lance died 1,000 deaths in the aptly named Death Row mission.
But the yardest of all the yards has to be the ship graveyard in Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception.
The deception of the title no doubt refers to the name of this level, a ship graveyard, despite clearly being a Nathan Drake graveyard. I'm seeing a lot more dead Nates than dinghies. Probably for the best that no ship salvaging goes on here, given how ill-equipped the local workforce is for the task. Half of them bring nothing but grenades to work.
Which I think are bad for fixing boats.
And the other half are sporting rocket launchers.
Which I know are bad for fixing boats.
Nate has faced these kinds of odds before. Shout out to another hard yard, the Cathedral Courtyard in Uncharted 1. But at least he had solid ground there to anchor to. Any mistake here and you're paddling through oily water, sure to ruin whatever part of your outfit hasn't been perforated by gun turrets.
I'm beginning to think these aren't dock workers at all.
I must die in this fight, 20 times every time I play it. I even looked it up online to make sure everyone was on the same page as me, and they all agree. This is one of the hardest fights on Crushing difficulty.
Yes, I too was playing on Crushing.
And now it's time for the bit of every Friday feature you dread, the end of the video. I'm sorry, why not stretch out your viewing experience by writing a lovely long comment below, or watching the video a second time? Give the video a like, of course, and subscribe if you haven't already, hitting the notification bell so you don't miss these videos when they go live at 4 PM every Friday. See you again next week.